Welcome to the show, and here are your hosts, the diabolical Elite Gaming Guru, the illustrious Red Dead Panda, and the Australian stud AshtreyGaming. So let's get this party started. Shit.
We've got topic number 1 should be free cancelled, and it goes down from there.
No.
Elite.
Good
Live.
morning.
Hello.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back to. Caught me in the monologue in there. Welcome back, everyone, to another podcast, Gamers podcast, featuring myself, AshtreyGaming, and forget her name, Red Dead Panda. Welcome back, Red Dead. No, seriously, episode 93.
Four.
Four. We've got. I was out last week, so yeah, professional. And so thank you all for joining us again. We've got some excellent topics, but better still, we've got an amazing panel this week. So we've got. We might need a little bit of a drum roll for this, Red. We've got Colt Eastwood and Jen
From Windows Central.
Yeah.
Yes, that's where she's
Yes.
Yeah.
I can hear
Hey.
the cheers.
Yeah.
from.
All right. Well, we'll do some intros. Find out what everyone's been playing this
Hey,
week.
I'm back.
Do that. Oh,
All right. Okay.
we
Well,
just finished, Jen. Well done.
we'll start off with Colt. What have you been up to this week? What have you been playing? And then we'll move around the rest of the group.
I've been busy with Resident Evil 4, just getting started, playing the Forza Horizon Rally Adventure, and MLB, The Show, which is a baseball game. Over here in the States, we throw a little ball at a stick, and we don't call it cricket or anything like that. But nobody cares about baseball, but I've been enjoying that. And I've been playing Fortnite like a lot with my 2 kids. It's just a thing that we do that has become just a great time. I've had more fun with my kids than I did with my adult friends I used to play with, but it's been great. It's really good. Barring Fortnite, like whatever you think about Fortnite, but just playing with my kids is amazing. It's so fun. So fun. It's amazing. I said that already, but
Yes,
thank you.
did. Well, you played a lot of Grounded with your kids too, didn't you?
Oh, 400 hours last year when there was quote unquote, air quote, no Xbox games. Like we wanted nothing else. That we played it every week for like 4 or 5 months and sometimes every day. But yeah, they're amazing. They're great kids. And I've had a lot of fun kind of stepping away from my adult friends to play games with my kids and bond. It's really, truly an incredible thing.
It's good, yeah.
I love Grounded. It's such a good game.
Good.
Yeah. I'll tell you another good one to play with the kids is I can't remember. I can never remember it. It's the dwarf one. When you played the mining dwarf game.
Yeah, I play that
that's
with them as well. Yeah. Deep Rock Galactic.
Yeah, Deep Rock Galactic. That's a fantastic game. That takes a lot of sort of teamwork and partnership and communication. That's just a really good sort of game as well, like Grounded.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too sort of that's a really good game. But but it's great to get the kids into gaming and get them enjoying it. That aspect of it, nothing sort of too deep and too serious.
That's what she said.
You know. Hey.
Speaking of what she said, Jen from
Loaded
Windows Central is also with us. Jen, what have you been up to this week? She's not there.
Yeah. Yeah, you could definitely hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yes. Sorry, I'm super passionate because I was having loads of computer problems before we come into the podcast. So I've been playing Resident Evil 4 as well. I had to complete it to write a few guides for Windows Central. It's and bobs to get some achievements done. So I started my NG Plus playthrough this week because there's a few that you have to do a couple of playthroughs to get the achievements on. It's one of those kind of games. I'm not going for 100% on that kind of patience, but there's a few I feel like I should have got by now. So working my way through that. And I played the Diablo 4 beta, if anyone tried that.
Yep.
Yeah, it was good.
I'm feeling a bit despondent now it's all over. So I'm like, oh, I don't really want to play anything else but Diablo now.
That's my same reaction.
Yeah, it's just a super, super long wait until June.
Well, we've got Redfall
you
to
tell
cover us.
Yeah, I was just going to say, can you tell us much about Resident Evil without getting in trouble? Or
Well, most people have played it by now, to be honest. It's been a week, hasn't it, that it's been out?
Oh yeah, I suppose so. Yeah,
I
mean,
really
you've
enjoyed
played
it. I'm not a massive Resident Evil fan, to be honest. So originally, when I was asked to play it, I thought, oh god, I've got to sit and play this all the way through. I'm not a big fan of like zombie games, but it's more so action based than scary. There's a few scary moments in it, but it is mainly just going around shooting, causing loads of gore, which I could get down with that. It's jump scares and stuff I don't like.
Okay.
So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's a beautiful game. I've never played the first one, so the story was completely new to me. So thankfully, because I was one of the first ones playing it, I didn't spoilers online about what happened. I've heard that they've changed a few quests up though in the new edition compared to the old one, and there's some different quests in it. So I don't know for anyone.
You're chopping in and out, Jen. You might need to do a restart, because you're sounding like you're botting a little bit, but that's okay. Glad that you're.
It's only
here.
a little.
Yeah, it's only a little. It's not too major. All right. Well,
I'll try jumping in and out.
We are scattered all over the place, aren't we? I mean,
we are all over
Australia,
the world.
New Zealand,
US,
London, US, and wherever Jen's from.
UK.
I know. But yeah, we've got some. Ashtray, what have you been up to then? What have you been playing?
Actually, I haven't been playing much this week.
Okay,
I've actually,
what have you been playing?
I've actually been watching the Mandalorian series on TV.
Yeah.
I've caught up on that because
Yeah.
I didn't start watching it until just recently. So I've been binge watching the first 2 seasons, which I've just completed watching, which is really good. And now I'm watching the Book of Boba Fett. And then once I finish watching that, I'll start watching season 3.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Has anyone watched season 3 yet? Started watching. I've watched the first 2 episodes of season 3.
Yeah, I'm a couple episodes in with my son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is great. It is one of the best series. It's better than the movies. It's written by Jon Favreau, isn't it? Who wrote the original Iron Man
Yes.
movie, isn't it? The first Iron Man movie, and I think he's fantastic. And he played Happy in the movies, didn't he? In the Avengers stuff.
Correct.
I think they're great. And it's a shame we don't write more of the Star Wars sort of movies and stuff. But I think the series are just really good. The characters are really good.
Absolutely, and the budget's good too.
The budget's fantastic, spot on. Yeah, it's just the CGI you wouldn't, because the majority of it's CGI. You just wouldn't know it, wouldn't see it. So, but fantastic series.
Exactly. So other than that, I've only been playing a couple of games, just like bits and pieces, a little bit of Fortnite last night for the first time in like a month. Did play some of the Diablo 4 beta last weekend, and I've just played a little bit this morning of the Rally DLC for Forza Horizon 5. And that's about it. Red.
what have I been playing?
Yeah.
Finished Hogwarts for what I wanted to finish on it. So we'll see if there's what DLC comes for that game. But yeah, enjoyed that. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Played the hell out of it. I played the Diablo 4 open beta on the weekend and thoroughly enjoyed that. And just like everyone else, was super disappointed that it ended because I wanted to load it up and keep on playing. So much fun with friends. And even just the open world side of it. Running around to do the events and there are other gamers in there with you. That was really cool. So I'm super excited for that in June, and I'm going to be playing Redfall till then, I guess, once it comes out in May. But I've just started playing Far Cry 5, and that's what's on there, some Far Cry 5 footage. It's my first Far Cry game. I've never played any of them before. Yeah, I know.
It's most people's it's kind of become their favorite, so I'm excited. I'm jealous of you now. I loved it. I really enjoyed it.
I'm enjoying it, and I'm like, this is addictive, and I'm like, you can play co-op, so I'm trying to convince my sister to maybe download it and play it with me. But yeah, this is the only one I've actually really been interested in playing, just because the whole story and the fanaticism of the main character, the bad guy, he's so
But anyway, it's a game made by Crytek, so it's a PvP sort of shooting hunting game. But yes, that's all I've been playing, and I love it. And I'm getting too addicted to it. You know, when you just you pick up a game and you just play it for hours and hours and hours. You go, right, I'm going to play something else. And then you just don't. You just keep playing that same game over and over again. And you get friends message you and saying, play this. And you go, yeah, I will. And you just keep playing that same game. Yeah, so I'm at that stage. So I'm thinking I might have to delete it or, I don't know, do something else. But, yeah. I did try the Diablo beta. I was gonna, and I was on on it, but I'm thinking, I'm going to wait for the actual game to come out, and then I'm going to play that. So, I didn't want to, I didn't want to ruin it. So, I don't know why. I never like playing betas, because I always think it feels like it ruins the I don't know. I'm an idiot.
Really? Nah.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I think it was really important that this game had a beta anyway, because it really brought the Diablo 3 and like Diablo 2 fans together, because you kind of get a good mix of both. It's so dark and just gritty. I love the cutscenes, and I can't wait till it launches in June, and they've got like a couple of months to fix a lot of those bugs that showed up in the beta. So yeah.
Also, I think the last Diablo had some bad press, didn't it, when it came out as like a mobile game, didn't it? And I think there was
Diablo
a lot of
Immortals?
stigma. Yeah, there's a lot of stigma around Diablo, so it's probably good that they did this just to boost it up again before it launched fully, I think. Yeah. So I always remember that at the what was that? They showed it at a show, didn't they? And everyone booed it. What was that? I can't remember now. One of the, I think it might be free or Gamescoms. Yeah, something it was that, wasn't it? And everyone sort of was shocked when it was just a mobile game. But anyway, I think Jen's just popped off. She said she's going to reset.
Okay.
We know the truth.
But, can't stand you. I get it. Honestly, I get it. Hashtag delete elite in the chat, guys, if you agree with that. Yeah.
Oh, she's gone. Right. Yeah, I think she said she's going to reset in the chat. Right. So let's get on to our first topic. So Jen should be back by the time we get fully into it.
I think we should start with the Vampire Survivors, because that's a quick one.
Yeah, okay, we'll go with that. You want to run with that then, Mr. AshtreyGaming?
Yeah, sure, man. So recently it came out from tweet from the BAFTA Game Awards that Vampire Survivors won BAFTA Award for Best Game. Now, we've been sort of talking about this game for quite some time now, and everyone's played it. I'm sure everyone's put a lot of hours into it, and it's good to see an indie game, which I believe first launched on PC and then came over to Game Pass, I think quite a while later, but it's really, I think Game Pass has really sort of pushed it in the limelight and had a lot of eyes on it since. Everyone here's played it. It's good to see that, these games are getting recognized for, what they are, for their playability, their fun factor. It's quite an addicting game as well.
It also got best game design, and I think so it got best game design and best game. So well done, Vampire Survivors.
Yes,
and it's Xbox exclusive. They got really mad. I said that on purpose because, oh gosh. How do I say this without sounding like a total knob?
You can get away with it on here.
You can, yeah.
I'll just say it. But I was talking to Phil Spencer about Vampire Survivors because he's a massive fan, and he was teaching me how to play the game because I had no idea. He's telling me what not to do and how to kind of get through the game. And he reached out to the creator and said, "How do we get this game on Xbox?" And he was like, and he's like, well, I would need I can't just port it to Xbox. Like, I need a team to do that. And he's like, whatever you need, we'll be here to be your support. We want this game on the platform. And so Phil and the Xbox team put out some funding to that studio to get an Xbox version up and running. So it's only on Xbox consoles and Steam and mobile, but it's not on PlayStation, and I'm pretty sure it's not on Switch yet. Is it?
It's probably coming shortly, I reckon. It'll be a great Switch game.
Yeah, and it will be. But right now, over the first 6 months of its existence on Xbox, it is exclusive to the Xbox console, and not just because it just dropped on there. Because Phil and the Xbox team said, "Let's get this on here. Let's get an express version on the console." So when I said that, I tweeted out, "This BAFTA game winner is Xbox exclusive, and you have to play it. It's amazing." And a lot of people got it really got them in the bathing suit area real hard, really burned and itched and made them really angry. And I do this stuff on purpose because there's really an air that goes around on social media and on gaming forums for the past decade where Xbox has no games, right? I mean, anybody can say that, but it's become, which we'll talk about later in your show, Xbox can't have exclusives. It's not allowed. It's never been a thing in the past. We're not going to allow it now, is kind of the attitude that we get. And that's why I say things like, I'm so excited to get hands-on with Starfield, Xbox exclusive, summer 2023. And that really bothers a certain type of people that, maybe they just wear their underwear too tight. I don't know what it is, but we can have a little fun with it. But Vampire Survivors is incredibly amazing, and sometimes it's a game that when I'm just chilling, talking to somebody like Ashtray on Xbox Live, I'm just sitting there blasting around, getting nothing accomplished other than just seeing how many things I can mow down and what I can level up and see what when you advance the powers to see what they can do, something you haven't. So Vampire Survivors is amazing.
Well, that just makes it even more special, right? I didn't know that Phil reached out to the devs and asked to get it on. I just thought it just dropped in. So yeah, makes that whole.
Phil's been talking to him
better.
Phil's been talking to him for like very, very often, like every week they're talking, and he'll talk to him and get on the phone with him, or they message each other and talk about what's next, and even. Like, why don't you do some Xbox themed characters or Xbox themed additions? And I think Tim and I were talking, and we're like, Phil, tell him to like do Xbox themed characters you can get, or put microtransactions. And Phil didn't like kind of answer. So we're talking about microtransactions because the game, the way it runs is just amazing. But we kind of had this conversation that didn't go any further than just Tim and I talking. But we're saying like, when you can buy stuff that you like we do in Fortnite, like people love to spend that money because it was their choice and it's not integral to the game or its advancement. It's just like kind of a vanity item. And we just kind of put that bug in his ear that we like that sort of thing. I'd like to see more crossover things, but Vampire Survivor is awesome. Phil told me, he goes, make sure you shower and shave before you start playing because you'll go. Phil's like, he's told that to a couple of friends. He's like, I'm not kidding you. You're going to, one of these days, you're going to be like, I can shower later. So he's had a lot of fun with it. So,
or at least fund a sequel. It could at least fund a sequel. That might be quite good.
I think
it'd be interesting to see a first person version of it. That'd be weird, wouldn't it? Can you imagine a first person version of that? It'd be mad, wouldn't it?
With mobs,
so crazy.
Yeah.
Because at its core, it's really an 8-bit game. It's truly an 8-bit game that just borrows from a couple of different games that we played on the Nintendo Entertainment System or on the Sega. What'd you guys call the first Sega outside the US?
The Mega Drive.
Mega Drive, yeah. So it's got that Castlevania style music. It's just when I first saw it, I'm like, whatever. And then once I learned how to play it, I've loved it. So
yeah, I had Boba playing it, and he's like, "Try it out." I'm like, "Nah, I'm good, man. I'm good." And then I think I even told Elite, "Don't bother."
I've been watching like Fratanga's videos because he plays on PC, right? And it was in a lot of his backgrounds of the gameplay. And people always ask me, "What's this game? Like, what's this game?" And he would say Vampire Survivors, and I was like, "When is this coming to Xbox?" Because it just looked interesting, and I just was like, "It's a cheap game. It's on Game Pass, and I've tried so many new games because of Game Pass. I'm just going to give it a go." And then I just couldn't stop playing it at all. And we were just in party chats all together, teaching everyone how to play the game. And it's just brought the community together. Like, we would play it, even though we were like community game night, everyone's just playing Vampire Survivors and just talking about what they're playing. I think it's super impressive how well this game has done for what style of game it is, and it goes to show you don't need to put millions and millions and millions of dollars into a game for it to be successful, and it doesn't have to be this beautiful 4K visual experience, story driven 30 FPS third person action RPG style game at all. These games can be successful, and the game isn't expensive. The DLC is fun, like getting the extra characters. I actually have to pick up the most recent DLC because I completed all of it, and they just keep launching DLC. So well done to them being recognized, because I feel like they should have been recognized at the Game of the Year awards end of last year, and they didn't. And
Yeah,
this is
why
just
was
nice to
that?
see them getting
No.
recognised, especially for like BAFTA, because that's quite a, I'd say, prestigious type of award that you can get. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the best part is that it's got a better Metacritic than The Last of Us Part 1 PC port.
It scored higher last year than God of War Ragnarok, didn't it? It scored. I think it was one of the highest rated Metacritic games, wasn't it?
I'll
I'm not wrong.
have a look, see if I can
I
find that.
think it was. I'm pretty sure it rated about 97%.
Yeah.
So
it's a
it was
good game.
quite shocking that it never even got a nomination for Game of the Year, but Stray did. Yeah. Following on from what I just want to say actually what right GTP said. He said Master System. That was the first Sega.
Oh, sorry,
Not
yeah,
Mega
that was the
Drive.
first.
Yeah.
It was. I remember
But
that. It was the
that-
red
and black
wasn't
one.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was called the Master System everywhere, I think. But it was the
Yeah.
Genesis, the second one, which
Yeah,
was
the
called
Gen.
Mega
That's
Drive.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
Yep.
called it the Mega Drive. Yeah.
So
I never
it-
owned a Sega console.
Damn
ever.
you,
God,
Colt
that's
Eastwood.
I know. I'm
Sega was
sorry.
fun.
I didn't either. It was
We
Nintendo
went
in
from
my
NES
house.
to Super NES, and then I just kind of stopped for a little while. So,
You had your
Anyway.
break and then got into
Yeah.
Xbox.
well, yeah, I had a break and
PC.
went to college and started a family, and I'm like, I shouldn't have a console because I won't do anything productive with my life. And then finally I said, to heck with it.
Yeah. And here you are.
Yeah.
No, just following up from what you said, Colt, about the whole narrative the PlayStation, I shouldn't just say PlayStation, the fans are saying regarding exclusivity. And
Well, yeah,
Xbox
you're
Live.
right, because it is mostly PlayStation fans, and it's a small
it is,
segment
yeah.
of the PCMR guys who normally PCMR guys like, I don't care, I can play your games wherever, but they also use that as you have no games because I can get them on PC. It's like, well, Xbox has been is Jen's popping back in.
Internet.
I would like to hear Jen's thoughts on this because as all the history I know from Xbox, they've really been on PC the entire 20 years of their existence in the ecosystem.
Yep.
And at this point, if you wanted to list out the games that actually only were on a console, there are only a handful that exist at this point, like Halo 5, Forza Horizon 2, and some other games. But most all games from Xbox Studios have always had a PC counterpart. Even before they did the whole Quantum Break shift where everything was going to release day and date on PC. That was a 2016 thing.
Play anywhere.
But Jen, for 10 years before that, most big games from Xbox Studios or exclusives were on a Windows PC.
Hmm.
Is she there? Can she talk?
Jen.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Even
yes,
though
yes.
it's Chat. Hey. Oh my gosh, I've had to change computers, change headset, and I'm back.
Okay.
Right.
That's that
what
You
you
British
shouldn't
actually
have to
Netflix.
mess with it. Just we can relax and do the show, and I'm sure if you cut out a little bit, we'll survive. But this isn't my show. But Jen, I want to hear your take on Xbox being on PC mostly forever. I think they always have. Am I wrong?
As long as I've been playing Xbox, they have. Yeah, definitely. I mean, even now we're looking at like cloud gaming. You can get Xbox games anywhere. But yeah, what's the actual topic? What is the big deal about it being on PC?
We were talking about Vampire Survivors and talking about Starfield coming up and how there's like a big subset of certain types of gamers that just you are not allowed to say that Xbox has exclusives. That does not exist. We're not going to allow it. It's kind of how they treat it.
It's still exclusive to the Microsoft ecosystem. There's no doubt about it. So yeah, that's just people wanting to argue on the internet, isn't it? We're used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the thing that gets me now, the narrative, is the media are now running with the Xbox shouldn't have exclusives, and I think that's where I think it's just taking it to a next level because you expect it from a certain fan base because they're going to argue anything against Xbox, but when the media sort of think jumps on that Xbox shouldn't have exclusives thing, having pushed exclusives as we know, and the reason to buy a console for exclusives, and if you want to play this exclusive on a PlayStation, for example, buy a PlayStation. Now Xbox is getting exclusives in brackets the narrative seems to be changing. That Xbox shouldn't have exclusives; they should be on all systems, or they should be on PlayStation at
I
least.
mean, Xbox shouldn't.
And I
They
think
were all
that-
up in arms
so
about
well.
Redfall, weren't they? We saw how quickly they all jumped on that, and it's not even out yet. It's not even been on
No.
Xbox yet. They were all jumping on it.
No,
They were
The only
jumping on the
difference between-
principle, right?
The only difference between most of the media is that, compared to Sony fanboys, is that they work for these publications. That's the only difference. They're still Sony fanboys, a lot of them anyway. I mean, I've seen the tweets from that Plunkett guy, and that dude's a complete moron. And he's from Kotaku. Kotaku's known for their bias as well, anyway. So, you know, calling it the media is pretty loose term these days, anyway. They're just rabid fanboys with a pen or a typewriter that work for these places. So. Fuck 'em.
Well, I mean, as my friend Dealer Gaming says a lot, you like anybody, any jerk can.
Is he an
In
up and
so many
comer?
words, he says
Is he
any
new?
jerk can run a website, right? But there are the journalists that have gone on for years and years that are respected in the community, and people enjoy their reporting and look to them for information. But then there's a certain type of journalistic media site here and there that people just never respect. And that's when people say, oh, the media says this, the media says that. It's like, well, you just need to be a little more picky about just go to most everybody else. There's just a small handful of people that can just be a little bit ridiculous, like the guy from this such and such big website, or this guy from this trolley website, which why even dignify them with a name? There are definitely people that I've respected for years. Like Paul Tassi from Forge, I've always liked his stuff, even if I didn't agree with it. And as time goes on, you're like, he was right when he gave Xbox a hard time when they were doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And you kind of move past that. And Destin Legary, he was like, oh, the resolution difference of the famous picture. And then when you kind of get past when the stuff becomes historical at that point, like Destin's another guy I really super respect and have enjoyed talking to. There's great people out there. Windows Central's one of them.
Yep.
Oh, shit.
yeah.
Do you not
I'd
think
love
a
to
lot
get
of it
this on
stems,
the show.
though? Do you think a lot of it stems from this culture that Sony really have brought about, where if people do criticize them, they have like not stopped sending game codes and things to journalists, whereas Xbox tend to accept the criticism?
Yeah, well, that's part of it, definitely. I mean, they did that to Stevivor, that gave a scathing review on one of their games, and they stopped giving them copies. So they blacklist them if they speak
Yeah.
negative.
It can make people like scared to speak out, and then it just spreads, doesn't it? And this is
Well,
where we are now.
The only
There's been a
way
few of them,
that
actually, not
these
just
guys
us.
stay consumer friendly is to be held accountable. It's the only way.
IGN Korea is another one they blacklisted.
Yeah, that's
IGN
right.
Korea being the only IGN, so there's IGN seems to have tons. Every country seems to have its own for IGN its own review site, doesn't it? And the IGN Korea they blacklisted because they downscored. I think it was God of War Ragnarok, didn't they? They only gave it a 7 or something like that.
Yeah.
So they hated. Hey, they blacklisted IGN Korea while allowing.
I
all
don't
the
think
others.
that's so unfair, because someone says I don't trust IGN's reviews. It's like they review like 50, 100 games a year, and they're not from one person. They're from they're from people that probably don't work there anymore. That if you didn't agree with, like there was a guy at GameStop or GameSpot that gave a poor review to Gears 4, and he's like, well, I don't. His opening of his review was, I'm not really a Gears fan, but they sent me the code, so I'm gonna review it. That was like his opening statement. I'm like, oh boy, will it win him over? Yeah. Nah, it didn't. He gave it a mediocre review. It's like, do I hold that against GameStop Spot? No, but
Too much
yeah, that's right. And also, it's a review. Gosh dang it! It's an opinion. It's literally an opinion from one writer. And if you don't like it, and you notice a couple times you don't align with that journal or that reviewer, then find someone else that normally, like they said it was great. I ended up liking it. Okay, I'm gonna watch that next review, and if that stays that way, that's just doing good science, I suppose. But I don't know. I don't like the media bias moniker. Let me just close my statement with that. I think it's more like there's certain double standard in different ways. And there certainly is a double standard when it comes to PlayStation, because they've been bulletproof for 25 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
reason we write about games is because we're opinionated. You know, otherwise we wouldn't be doing this job. You're never going to look at a game and go into it without an opinion on that game before you play, and it just comes out in the writing. It's just the way the industry works. I'm never going to review a Diablo game and not have a thought about it before I start playing it. I'm too emotionally invested, and I don't mind admitting that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Just a quick shout to the chat. Now we've got Bob in the chat.
Every time.
Every time.
Every time. We've also a Try Hard fan, my favourite PlayStation fanboy. Yes. He said he would have given God of War Ragnarok a 6 out of 10. I hate the puzzles and disagreed with the story decisions, but it was still worth my time. Yeah, because why wouldn't it be? Every game should be worth it. I never get when someone tells you not to like a game. You know,
And I love what he said after that. He says, "I wouldn't argue with anyone who says it's a masterpiece."
Yeah.
And we see that a lot. Like, I may say Red Dead Redemption 1 is a masterpiece, and then somebody would disagree with me, and I'm like, am I supposed to be angry? I mean, it's so weird when people they want to like a factoid check. They want to run like the Pythagorean theorem across someone's opinion, and they get mad.
People on Twitter care too much about what other people enjoy. It's about what you enjoy at the end of the day.
The only thing I'll say against that is I wouldn't class any game. I wouldn't give any game a 10 out of 10. But that's just my opinion on scoring system. Scoring.
You just hate games, Elite, though, don't you?
Yeah.
The only game he likes is Conan. Yeah.
But I wouldn't give that a 10 out of 10 either. I don't think there is a game I can think of ever that would be a 10 out of 10 or a masterpiece. And I think that's why I put that on a pedestal. I one day hope there is a game that will be a 10 out of 10. But until this day, today, there isn't one for me. Or I don't think there is one. So, but there's far too many games that are 10 out of 10s at the moment. And I think that's what muddles it, the waters, you know, the too many 10 out of 10s. 10 out of 10s given too often. I don't think that's that sort of. I don't know. Yeah, I think it deletes the
that's the hype behind
talent.
it. That's
Some
how it
people,
gets over that edge.
When people put a lot of effort into one game and it scores a 10 out of 10, and then a little effort goes into another game and it scores a 10 out of 10. You know what I mean? Sort of. So.
Oh, you can be in a mood. Like I was playing the Diablo beta and I was not in a good mood that week. You know. Really not in a good mood, and I wasn't enjoying it. But you can also play something like when we talked about Grounded earlier. That game did so much for me, like even emotionally, and just the feeling I got playing that game and bonding with my kids, like we were really shrunken in that yard. That like almost puts that game at a high 9 for me, even though the combat could use a lot of improvements. The game could do a lot more things that would make it like the most epic game ever, and it doesn't. But I mean, when somebody gives a game a score, that's their score.
Yeah.
That's
I agree with what Fuck You said in the chat about trusting the community. Like, I only gave It Takes Two a chance after listening to all the different Xbox-centric podcasts talking about how much they enjoyed playing that game together. So I got it just to play with my sister. I've played through it twice, completed it to 100%, got every achievement in the game, because I think that game was a masterpiece when it comes to co-op specifically. It was such a brilliant game, and it kept you on your toes. You didn't get bored playing it, but yeah.
It never did one thing twice.
Yeah, exactly. And
did it get you like? Did it get you like emotionally as well at times? Because
the elephant scene, yeah. I was like, I don't want to hurt this elephant.
Yeah.
Busy tearing it apart. Yeah, that game had it all, I think, and that game definitely deserved to win Game of the Year. What was it? Not last year, the year before. But yeah, that's where, if you trust in the community, they're generally not going to steer you wrong. And they're going to be honest about their opinions, going, some games aren't for everyone. And that's the truth. And that's where your opinions come in when you're reviewing titles, is it might not be your game, so you're going to be harder on that title as a result of that. Yeah, just facts.
Should we move on to the next topic?
Absolutely, sir.
Yeah.
What is
I don't
that?
even think we were on a topic, but
No,
go
we
ahead.
were just rambling.
It was a topic, but we sort of drifted.
You're insinuating there's some kind of organisation here.
I know.
Yeah, Jen didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go on to now topic number one. E3 is cancelled. No, not sure if anyone's ever heard of E3 or was aware of it. It's been cancelled apparently. So yeah, E3 cancelled. Gaming's biggest trade event and bastion of the internet memes is no longer. So what is your opinions on this? Because I mean, I think the most recent ones to drop out obviously is Ubisoft. And I think personally it's a very state of affairs because I still think E3 is the biggest event in gaming. And well, I've got a lot more things to say, but I'd like to hear your opinions on it actually first.
We'll start
So
off
should we
with
start with
Jen.
Jen?
Well, I was joking about it a bit yesterday online because we all saw the writing on the wall that it was going to be cancelled with all of these companies dropping out. I'm surprised they took this long, especially with people having booked flights already to go. But it looks like there's been a lot of things going on behind the scenes. You know, a lot of publishers were originally keen about the event, and then when it came to like writing on the dotted line and booking their spaces, they actually couldn't get people to commit to it. So it's really unfortunate for the organisers, I think. And it is sad to see it go. You know, it is an event, even if you don't go in person. It's an event to watch that week when you're watching it on YouTube or wherever you catch it. And it's where you expect to see all the, you know, the best gaming reveals and all the Sony versus Microsoft and who's going to do the best presentation. And we're going to lose that now. We're not going to have those big moments anymore. So it's sad. It's sad for the gaming industry, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there.
I think it's probably more of the hands-on side of things. So, because, I mean, you know, everything's got an atmosphere and an ambience and all that kind of thing, right? But for people such as myself, who's in the opposite side of the world, we've always had to watch it through the internet. So we still get that. So there's an element that we still get. But having that hands-on, getting to play games right there on the floor, that's the part of I think people are going to miss more than anything else, because you can still catch the shows. I think they're going to do a live screening in one of the places anyway. Xbox is still having it in their theater. Colt, it'd be good to know, you might know this, are they going to set up anything at that theater? Are they going to have demos to play at the Microsoft theater at all?
My best educated guess on this is that they're going to do a watch party again in the smaller theater. My other best educated guess is that no company or Xbox will ever return to a live scripted on-stage affair in front of a massive crowd. I think that will be a 2000s thing, like a 2000s and 2010s thing. Unfortunately, become like one of those like hallmarks of gaming, which really ticks me off because I think it was amazing. But it's funny if you look back just a few E3s ago, like some of that stuff is really cheesy. But in the moment, we're having a great time. Xbox put together the Watch Party Fan Fest that I went with my wife, Hargeet Shawnee, Dark CMF, Sean Labrie. We all had a great time at the show. They had like 2 gaming stations that had games that had been out forever. Like, from what I know, because I just visited Aaron Greenberg at Microsoft offices, the Xbox offices, like a month or so before E3, and it sounded like they had put together they like, we're going to do this, we're going to do it in person, we're going to have a fan fest. Like, they scrapped together the last minute possible as the COVID regulations finally had eased up. So my best guess is that they will do the watch party, and hopefully they've had enough time to bring in something like Redfall, which you can already play. I don't think they would have Starfield playable for fans that early, you know, months before the game comes out. So I hope they have some gaming stations for games that are on the way out that summer.
Yeah, because I think they need to be able to give people that have already booked accommodation, flights, etc., bought tickets to have something there for them to interact with, right?
They can, Ashtray, but I think most people understand at this point, you know, at the end of March, if you've booked flights, you can cancel them. If you've booked hotels, you could probably cancel them. But I have talked to Phil and Aaron about the E3 showcase, and they're 100% attitude is we want to be there. We want to put on a show. We want to be with the fans. We want to rally around in person. It is super important to us. We all as a team want that and need that. So that is their priority, is to be able to have some type of event. So know that they've said that. Even back in when Forza Horizon 5 launched, like I asked Aaron about that nicely because I don't prod those guys for information. But he's like, we absolutely want to. If the world will allow it, we will be there.
I think it's.
What I think's interesting as well is that they've organised these events around that week of E3, thinking that that's going to be taking place there, knowing that it won't be next year. Will we still have those events lined up, or will they space them out across the year?
Yeah, I don't know. I think because where was E3 actually held? What's the place, the venue?
It's called the Convention Center, which is a 1-minute walk away from the Microsoft Theater. But this time, Happy Bomb's in the chat, who's also there, and Dark CMF is in the chat, who's also there in June. We're in the Novo Center or something like that, which is right in between the Microsoft Theater and the Convention Center, if I remember right. I don't know. I get there and I'm like, where am I? I don't know, but there's a door. It's like you're transported in time, because for us, we just fly vertically from Washington down to California, and for other people coming from the East Coast, it's a 4 or 5 hour flight or 6 hour flight or whatever it is. And for other people outside of the US, it's a long trip if there isn't going to be 40,000 people there for all kinds of festivities.
Yeah. Brisket was saying he's so upset about it. He's busy trying to figure out cancelling everything, and I'm like, hey, you might be able to go to the Xbox Fan Fest there.
Yeah, I mean, he might be able to get into that because you got to put in for the lottery for that. And the other thing was, I thought they would have an XO 2022, an XO22 at the end of last year, about the time when they showed up at the Keighley's Game Awards with nothing to show. Mm-hmm. Based off of the way Xbox was like, oh, we've got the green light, we can be in person again, we didn't have to have masks on, which is a big deal if you live in a state in the US. Like I live in Washington State, and we had masks on for 2 years nonstop, and they wanted to be there at these events, and I thought they would try and throw together an XO 22. Maybe they would do. What do you think, Jen? Do you think that Xbox wants to return to an XO in one of the countries? They did one in London and Mexico.
I mean, if E3 is definitely not coming back, they've got no reason not to. They've got so much to talk about now, especially with all these studios that they've got under their hat. Why not do one? They were doing them before when they had nothing to fill that time with. So bring them back. We want them. The audience want them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I went to the XO in London. I think it's 2019. No, it wasn't 2019. 2018, possibly.
2019.
Yeah.
2019 was it? Oh, blimey. So I went to that. I remember going to that with my son. So that was good fun. That was, and we met. I can't remember the lady's name. We met Aaron, but I can't remember the lady's name. What's that lady with the yellow hair?
Charlie.
Yeah, we met her there. Yeah, and it was really good fun. It was great.
Oh, that's cool.
And we played because got all the arcades set up and all that, didn't they? Played the Xbox games. We played Bleeding Edge at the time and played a bunch of other games, but it was really good. But we'd love to have something like that in London again. We'd love to have an E3 or a Gamescom, something big like that, just to boost the sort of just notice more in the Europe, because I think Xbox needs to push into Europe more. It's already sort of doing what it needs to do in America.
We'll start to see that change, though. We'll start to see those numbers slightly shift in that space. But I think the writing was on the wall about E3 the whole time, with them realizing that they don't have to spend all this money and they can still deliver a great experience, because the majority of people who watched E3 were the gamers online anyway, because originally it wasn't open to gamers, it was just media and press, and then they opened it up to gamers in the last few years. But we're used to watching it online. I think the positive out of this, though, is that the publishers and the studios and all of them are spacing out their shows a bit more over a 2-week period, so you get a bit more time to kind of absorb the games that are being shown, and then it also makes it easier for us for our podcast, because we can talk about the shows for this week, and then we can talk about the shows for the next week, and it just doesn't mean that you're just piling it up into one show. because of everything that's showing up on screen. I also think that this might be a really good opportunity for them to really engage digitally by offering demos, because I know that like the summer fan fest or whatever, summer game fest has demos. Xbox has done demos in the past for indie titles and such, and I think that's a big way, is like, if you can't bring the gamers to where you are, meet them where they are already located, in their homes, on the stores. Like, software is massive in that space, so I think demos is going to be a big thing to get people hyped up. And they don't have to have a lot of demos, but it's just that excitement going, oh, I can try out this game, I can try out this game, and then get an idea of what you want to play in the next 12 months and so on and so forth. But yeah, they've got so much coming. I'm kind of glad E3, I'm going to miss E3, but I'm kind of glad it's looking like it's not going to be here in the future, because just knowing the cost that these guys were putting into showing up there, they could be putting that into anything else, marketing outside of that.
Marketing.
Yeah, fingers crossed marketing.
That's
maybe
funny.
maybe on Xbox's side, they really need to put money into marketing. But yeah, I think it's not going to hurt anyone at the end of the day, other than the company that runs E3 itself.
What is that, the ESA or something?
Yeah, basically that's going to hurt them there. But for these other guys, they get to engage with gamers how they choose to engage with us. Yeah.
There is a problem with the ESA, and I don't know what it is. I know that the publishers and platforms have complained about the cost of being hosted at the convention center. And then, of course, I talked to somebody at Xbox Marketing that said that they've talked to different outlets around the world who've all been unanimously saying that it's so much easier to not send your employees out on a flight, pay their per diem and pay their hotel stay, and send them out to come back and report on stuff when they could do it from home or from the home studio. And it's a massive money save, but the synergy of bringing people out and having them at the event and wowing them with pomp and circumstance is something that really will become, it is really already now a thing of the past, something that used to happen. The Big Gamer Christmas was something that we used to do. We look back on it fondly, like it was so amazing. It's been totally killed off. And at the cost of saving money for these platforms, if you're a medium-sized publisher or a small developer and you want to be seen at E3, it's going to cost a lot of very painful money to make that happen. But us as fans, we're like, it's so worth it. It's so worth it to sit down and play these games or stand there and play their games that get showcased. And it's a bygone era, unfortunately. But more than anything, let me be super selfish and just say, I am really upset that there is no longer a massive event where people from around the world can gather. And these people that I've been talking to for 5 or 6 years on Twitter, comment sections, podcasts, all these people that I've met and I talked to on Xbox Live, I don't know when I'm going to get to meet them. Somebody like Gaz, who I've become so close to over the past couple of years, Randall Thor, someone who I've been best friends with for like 5 years. When am I ever going to meet them other than me saying, hey, I'm going to show up at your house tomorrow, put the pizza pockets on or the pizza rolls? I don't know. It's really a bummer. Let's put the pizza rolls in. I'm coming into your basement. We're going to make it happen.
There's definitely a community aspect.
Yeah, that means a lot to me because people like all of you, we've been talking for years, right? And Ashtray and I've talked for hours. And I would love that excuse for him to travel to an event where we can all meet together. And I don't want those things to go away. They're really important because we're in a community where you sit down and you're only connected by your data on your internet. And thankfully that we can talk, but to meet in person, it's really, really a stretch. And that barrier is like up forever, I guess.
We want to prove that gamers are the great unwashed.
So what's your guys' opinion on Jeff Keighley? Because he was sort of against E3, wasn't he? And I think he was posting about E3 being a bit dated and stuff, and we don't need stuff like that. But then now he's promoting his own summer show, isn't he? And then obviously the Game Awards. What's your opinion on Jeff's take on sort of the demise?
I want to see what Jen wants to say first.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, for someone that has been speaking out against E3, he's certainly capitalising on the death of it. That was a really well-timed announcement yesterday, wasn't it? About the Summer
Exactly.
Games Fest. Yeah, he's a shifty character. That's all I'll say. Not quite sure what to make of him.
Gen Planet.
I have a different opinion about Jeff.
Oh, go on.
I understand. I kind of agree with some of what Jen says, but I also feel like he took an opportunity of a flailing event and capitalized and danced on its grave, right?
It's
He
business,
certainly
right?
did. And it's business, but also I have gratitude for Jeff Keighley because he is keeping something alive that might just be completely gone from the face of the earth. He's trying to cultivate a place where everyone can come together and make their announcements in one big week. And he's certainly made a couple events per year where we can find stuff to report on and stuff to get excited about. And he's doing it to make a lot of money. And he did a Spaces last year where people were really criticizing him for doing the event in early December before all the games had a chance to get into the timeline. And him and I talked on his Spaces about how when you're putting together all these people and you're spending all this money and there's all this money to be made, you can't wait until early January when ad revenue and the market is way down. So you capitalize right before Christmas. And it's something that he does. And if you were running the business, would you be like, what's the most fair thing to do? Or if I'm going to spend half a year building this thing up and doing all this legwork, I want to get the best compensation possible and the advertising revenue. And I guess it's just a double-edged sword.
Yeah. Maximum
Do
return.
you feel he didn't sort of double down on the demise of E3 though until sort of Sony started putting out? Would that be fair to say?
He started undermining it once PlayStation left?
Yeah, do you feel that?
Well,
I feel that.
apparently there's something that went on between him and the ESA, like some sort of like falling out, or I'm gonna get you. I don't know what it was, but something happened where he was originally attached, and he's like, I'm just gonna do my own thing, and good luck. But it's a big deal when PlayStation said we're no longer going. Like, you just took a huge portion of the representation of gaming off of the E3 show floor, and it didn't help. The very first time I went, guys, was 2019, and I think it was the first year that PlayStation backed out. It might have been, or maybe it was the year before. Who can remember? But I think I was there the first year PlayStation wasn't on the show floor. Then there was this big open area that was kind of backfilled with some things that normally would have been PlayStations, and Xbox said, oh, we're going to be off the show floor in our own place. And they had a great spot just to walk away. But PlayStation sort of helped the demise of E3.
Yeah.
Something else we can blame them for.
Yeah.
Well, let's be honest. Everyone watched E3 because for Microsoft and Sony, really.
Yeah.
And then possibly Bethesda as well. That's the real main reasons. I don't think anyone went there to see what Ubisoft have to offer. You can go, I'm flying to America to watch Ubisoft.
They had a diverse range of games in the past, and I think they have really not diversified themselves well. And I'm still waiting to hear about Beyond Good and Evil 2, guys. When are we going to hear about that game?
Oh, that game's never happening. Just give it up.
I want it. I want it so bad.
I want to know when regulators are going to look into Jeff Keighley monopolising gaming community events.
Regulators. Oh, man.
Jen's after Jeff.
I'm going for you, Jeff.
Get him. Right. I'm going to move on to the next topic. Has everyone finished up on this?
Yeah. Before we do, just a reminder to everyone, please like and share this out. It helps a lot. But you guys are listening to the Gamers Initiative podcast with myself, AshtreyGaming, EliteGamingGuru, Red Dead Panda. And we have two special guests this week, Colt Eastwood and Jen from Windows Central. Next topic, Elite.
Do this. Topic number two.
Exclusive.
We can't afford a soundboard yet, guys. Sorry. US Congress raises concerns about Sony's monopoly on Japan's gaming market. this sort of all come around thanks to Sony themselves, didn't it? Because I think the Japan sort of stepped forward, sort of trying to back Sony up, weren't they? About regarding the ABK acquisition and sort of pushing back on it, saying they was at first against it, wasn't they, Japan? And then I think it was the America. Who was it in America? Someone in America pushed back, didn't they? And then Japan then flip-flopped on that and said, actually, yeah, go on, let it go through then. But then in turn, now they're being investigated, aren't they?
Maria
If I'm not
Cantwell, I
mistaken,
think,
well.
was the senator who kind of pointed it out.
That's
and talked
it,
about the 98% of Sony controlling that high-end gaming market. And I think there's been so many videos about this, but I mean, that 98% is purely just because Sony ignored Nintendo and didn't include them in high-end gaming market. And as a result, if you take Nintendo out of Japan in those stats, you're left with Sony controlling 98%. And that's a massive monopoly in that space. And then you've got, Microsoft having 2%, and then them referring back to the fact that Microsoft have been trying to crack into that market for the last 20 years, and they haven't made a lot of headway in that space because of Sony kind of, I guess, being blatantly anti-competitive around the conduct that they've been doing with a lot of those Japanese publishers and Japanese studios in those games. But yeah, we'll hear from everyone else. Jen.
Well, I was going to say Sony are paying for exclusivity. Are paying Japanese developers for exclusivity to keep the games purposely off Xbox, aren't they? So,
well, yeah, Square Enix, right?
Yeah, There's the
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
But, we don't know that.
Go on then, Ken.
Well, I mean, this is why I'm surprised why Sony was kicking up such a fuss about this deal, because we all know that there's underhanded things going on behind the scenes, and that's why they do have so many exclusive third-party games on their platform. But up until now, no one's actually questioned it from the regulator side, and now it's coming back to bite them in the arse, isn't it? So we'll find out what's been going on with Sony and Japan, and they wrote off the Nintendo as well as not even being a competitor, which hasn't helped their case. So I just think this is the crows coming home to roost with Sony. We're going to hear a lot more by the end of the year, I think, about some deals that have been done.
I just like the fact that the US government starts saying, hang on a second, what's going on over there in Japan? That's something's going on. We need to investigate. And then all of a sudden, the guys in Japan go, we're happy for the deal to go through, no concessions, move on.
Yeah,
That was the best part.
Right.
The timing, man, was just
flip-flopped on it.
and come on, you can't tell me that wasn't
You're
done.
on your own PlayStation. They're like, you're on your own PlayStation. You're like that.
It was
I think we all got
strategic
whiplash from that.
It's so funny because PlayStation was the one that postulated the high-end console market so that they could say, look, how are we going to survive without Call of Duty? And because the regulators would have said, well, look how massive Nintendo is, and they don't have it. And they're like, no. And it's just like a classic. Let me just be petty, but just like a classic pony. PlayStation said, no, we mean the high-end gaming market. We're only talking about Xbox versus PlayStation. They just shifted the goalposts. And then it comes around, like you said, to bite them in the back, where they said, so if we're looking at just that part of the market, PlayStation owns 98% of the market share in Japan, and a lot of that is Xbox fault, not PlayStation's. But then there's a international trade agreement that is being violated allegedly by PlayStation and Sony that is going to be looked into, and that's where this news comes from, where that it's quite possible that PlayStation just gives some incentive money to just publishers and says, no, don't worry about making an Xbox version. Just make your PlayStation version and your Nintendo version and your PC version. Because, making an Xbox version, that's just going to take more time. So here's a little bit of money to keep you and save you some time so you can get the best game possible. Not worry about that. And if that's what they're really doing, there's going to be an international trade agreement that has been broken, and they'll get their hands slapped. Maybe they'll get fined, and that's it. No big deal. They're not going to shut down PlayStation. But how far does that bleed? How far does that bleed into the way that they do business, where they're willing to pay someone to not make an Xbox version, to try and kill that brand that's already struggling internationally as it is, and then to pay to keep games off of Game Pass because you're so afraid that service become the de facto place for people to play as many games as they want. Like they're really threatened. And boy, they've come about this whole situation looking really pitiful. Absolutely pitiful.
Well, we saw them come out and say that, Xbox are going to put bugs into Call of Duty on Sony, and and it makes you wonder. Well, if they think that they can do that, have they been doing some similar kind of deals behind the scenes? It was just classic projection.
No, they put bugs into the PC port of Last of Us.
It's an interesting thing to say though, because when a third-party game drops with Sony advertising, the Xbox version, for the first week doesn't perform as well. So I wouldn't be surprised. But if that's the case and there's a paper trail or some sort of trail, that's completely illegal. But anyway, we're only surmising here on that. But it'll be good to see. Do you think we'll hear more news out of this trade agreement? Do you think they're going to keep pursuing this, or do you think they sort of just, we got what we want out of it and we'll keep moving? Anybody?
I think there's more to come out of the woodwork yet, personally.
I think the whole industry is going to be heavily scrutinized as a result of this.
Yeah.
I feel like Sony, as a result, all the lobbyists and everything like that, they've put a lot of spotlight on the industry and the practices within it, and now people are going to be looking at it a lot more closely in the coming years, especially with acquisitions coming up. I mean, talking about like how people were acting when Redfall got confirmed that the PS5 version of the game was scrapped, and the fact that it hadn't been announced yet, no one knew of the PS5 version, and they'd owned the studio like through the ZeniMax acquisition. Like Stellar Blade, that was announced for Xbox, PC, and PlayStation as well. But, it's now a PlayStation exclusive, so I think that's more of a raw deal than the Redfall side of things. And I feel like...
Oh, it's just good business sense when PlayStation do it, though.
yeah, it makes sense when they do it, because, only PlayStation is allowed to compete in that market. But, yeah, I feel like as a result, you kind of put up too much of an argument, and now I think they're going to be regretting it quite a bit, because we're going to see more of the stuff coming out of what was requested through the documents to do with the 2019 up till now. Was that the document dates that PlayStation has to provide for their deals that they've had? I think there was that time frame. We're going to see that come to light, and I think that's also going to be another thing that they take a look into, because it was 11 senators, both Democratic and Republican, also pointing out that it looks like there could be a chance that that Sony has, or Japan has not been enforcing the trade agreement between between the United States and Japan. Sorry, I am getting sick, so not exactly got the clearest mind today. Yeah.
No, that's all good. I think Elite's fallen asleep.
That's because I was talking, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say, can you imagine if the shoe was on the other foot and more American developers just started backing Xbox over Sony because it's an American product? Can you imagine the hoo-ha that would cause? So, I don't know.
Well,
it wouldn't be worth crying about it online. I couldn't deal with it.
Yep.
No. I mean, I've looked into because people will assume that in Japan there's a cultural shift where they won't buy American products, and that there is that's a standard that they just avoid American products. And I looked into that because I've seen a lot of Xbox guys use that as an excuse, and I'm like, instead of entertaining the thought, I'm gonna go look that up, and everything I found just completely debunked that Japanese consumers avoid American products. Japanese consumers only avoid products they don't want. It doesn't matter where they come from. And at least that's what I found out. But Xbox doesn't have as much appeal to that culture, as they haven't had as many games on their platform or exclusives that are made on that side of the planet. and it's just kind of a thing. And Jen was talking about how they need to get into the European market. They need to be bigger in the UK. They just don't exist in the Middle East. They just have a real hard time getting into those markets, and they're trying to, but we talked about their marketing. They need to do way more. And I still think, as far as their marketing push, they're still being very lazy or way too laid back. They need to be very aggressive, and they need to make big aggressive moves. They need to spin to be more aggressive, and they need to get people looking at, because I think they have like one of the best value propositions on their platform than anything else.
Right? It should.
It should.
But it's not.
And they can't just send out tweets or make TikTok videos about comments. Like, no. That's why I kind of wish, I was like, I would like to work over there and be in that boardroom and say, hey, why don't you guys do something? Well, you know, I don't know.
I mean, just put it on the side of buildings, put it on buses, put it in newspapers, put it in YouTube ads, put it in, I mean, Metacritic
be on TV
is advertising.
Hey,
but be on TV.
Yeah, put it on
before
Metacritic.
movies.
Yeah, because they're advertising PlayStation Plus on Metacritic.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know.
I think because of this.
Team up with Visa and have a friggin' Halo credit card. Just do something.
Yeah, that's a good.
There's lots of amazing ideas for them for marketing, but I think because of this deal, they are having to be really careful about the narrative out there. I'm not saying that's what they should be doing. They shouldn't. They shouldn't need to, hide all their successes. But I would like to think we will see a more aggressive Xbox once this deal's actually over the finish line. We can only hope.
Yeah.
I don't think the deal should affect marketing really, though.
Neither do I, but I think it does.
Maybe, but I mean, what's their excuse before the deal? They didn't have any marketing for the last 10 years.
Bethesda's still marketing their own games. They're still publishing them, so I think we should see quite an aggressive marketing spree for like Starfield. I reckon that one's going to be marketed very aggressively in comparison to what Microsoft does with their general first-party studios and such within the Microsoft studio. So yeah, hopefully
that's partially due to Bethesda. Like, they're marketing their games like they always would, and they are a cut above the way that they treat their content than what Xbox does. If you rewind back to 2019 at XO 19, when they showcased the Series X and Hellblade and just kind of knocked everyone off their feet, that was I don't even remember who it was. That was the job of one woman in Xbox marketing that kind of like raised her hand and said, hey, why don't we go bold? And it took, because the culture at Microsoft is very, very conservative, and it took the convincing. She spoke up and said, we need to be bold, and it paid off in a big way. And I'm like, why aren't you listening to her every single week? Whoever that person is, it should be your go-to. Hey, what should we be doing right now? And she'd say, let's go bold again. Because I think that's where Xbox needs to be.
No, let's go italic. I think
Wow,
Xbox.
that took me a minute.
Oh, that's great.
That was pretty. Come on, that was pretty clever. Anyway,
it was good. Yeah.
anyway, I've asked this question before. Maybe Xbox needed some younger blood in there. But then they had some epic marketing back in the 360 days. So I don't know if, why can't they replicate what they've done? You said that was a single person within Xbox that said, hey, let's go bold. Why didn't they just repeat that sort of mentality the next year? Yeah, right. To turn up last year with nothing, that was weird. I know the deal was all happening and stuff, but at least put Hellblade back up. People still would have loved it. It's just, it's weird how they do something and then they just stop. It's almost like that's all we've got. It's like, well, just repeat it. Who cares? People will like it. Trust me.
I'll say something sort of controversial. Wow, what a big surprise from Colt Eastwood.
Exclusive.
Exclusive. Xbox and Microsoft culture is very all-inclusive, and let's all gather around the fireplace and hold hands. As Jez Corden did the Kumbaya article on the Windows Central site like a month ago.
Kuna Matata.
And that's the culture. Yeah, that's the culture at Xbox, where everyone is part of everyone can enjoy play, and that's the thing they say, right? So PlayStation's marketing is very much is very much centered around you get the special treatment because you belong to the elite country club that is PlayStation that no one else can belong to unless you have $300 or $400 or $500. But PlayStation is all about this special experience that only the elite can have. And that's really how they market their stuff. You can't get this. No one gets this but us. And this is welcome to the PlayStation Club. And that's really how their marketing has been. It pours over to how their fans treat other people, some fans. And Xbox is really about everyone can enjoy play. Everyone can enjoy Xbox. You can play anywhere and everywhere. You can play with this controller or that controller or this device. And that's a super important message, but in there somewhere, you have to say, if you want the best games, if you want the widest range of gaming experiences, the way you want to play, you have to do it on Xbox. And they have to push hard, other than Sarah Bond one time saying, and yes, it's exclusive. They need to push that this is where you play. If you're in our ecosystem, these are the games you can only get on the Xbox platform. And they need to be bold about it.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of them like sitting back and going, oh, you know, we can't wait to talk about that, but we can't right now. And I think part of that is because during the calendar year of 2022, Xbox was jammed into a situation where they had nothing to show. All of their games were undercooked and not ready. Nobody felt comfortable about showing what they had at the time. Watching this gaming footage like makes me nervous that you're going to die in Vampire Survivor.
Oh,
but
this is when I first started playing, I haven't got any of my recent stuff.
You know what I mean? I just this is how you feel when you play the game. Like, don't get me, don't touch me, don't touch me.
Run for your life. Run slowly away from the bad guys.
I mean, Jen, am I anywhere near the mark from your opinion or perspective of how you see things?
Definitely think there's a certain element of Sony's attitude that they could borrow in their marketing campaigns. They don't have to go quite as aggressive, and we don't want those type of fans in our community. Yeah, you know, they're treated like spoiled children, aren't they, at the end of the day?
Elite.
Elite. Leave Elite alone.
Hey.
No, it does feel almost sometimes like when you're browsing through Twitter that the fans are doing the marketing for them. Like, I joked that you're always promoting Starfield for them, Colt, because you are. You're basically every day Starfield exclusive. But you know, that's the kind of attitude they need to have. They need to really drum it home that this is the only place that you can play this incredible game. Buy an Xbox. Yeah.
I think like I was at a funeral the other day and I was talking about how like it was after the reception and everything like that, and we were talking about how I like was play video games and just general conversation, and they're like, oh, what games do you play? And I started spouting, like listing the games I play, and the guy's like, oh, you play on Xbox? And he just had this utter disdain, and I was like, it's not hitting the casuals. Like, Xbox is not hitting the casuals.
No.
All the hardcore hitting it perfectly. We know what the deal is, but they're not getting that word out to the rest of the community. I think COD's going to be a big thing that's going to push that. But like, there are so many people who just are like, oh, you're on Xbox, it's beneath us. And I'm like, I understand that mentality, because you're right, Colt, in saying like that's how they've marketed PlayStation to be this elite thing for gamers. Like, if you want to be a gamer, this is where you should be playing. And they've been so aggressive in that respect that they've got that mind share for the casual gamers. Any games that were third party, if they had that marketing exclusivity deal for that, you didn't know that this was coming to Xbox. You assumed it was actually a PlayStation exclusive. And they just really need to hit the casuals. Those are the people who are going to be buying a game, buying the consoles, going to be playing like one game for like a whole year non-stop and nothing else. And they're going to be spending money on those
into that market that on Twitter, that on Reddit. Yep. You know, that's where the money is. It's not with us guys. It is with those casuals. I mean, I've converted loads of people at work to Xbox purely by telling them about Game Pass.
Yeah,
and now they can share it with their kids and don't have to buy games twice. But why am I doing that? Why aren't Xbox putting that information out there?
Even the family and friends plan on Game Pass, like that is only available in certain countries. It's available in New Zealand, and I mean, I've been seeing this all over Twitter that everyone is using the New Zealand price to go, why would you buy the US version? I'm like, well, you guys are idiots if you think that that's the US price, but no one knows about it. Like, unless you are like dialed into the gaming industry and like the news happening weekly. No one knows about it. Like, what was it? Microsoft bought, was it EB Games or GameStop or whatever it was, and it is still heavily marketed with PlayStation everywhere in all of those stores. And that's a lot of people going there, because you still get people who prefer physical games and going in to their local to look at the games that way and buy second-hand copies of games and so on and so forth. But the marketing is not there. Like, Xbox is this tiny little corner in the store, and then PlayStation's at the front, like half the store, and it's just quite obvious that Xbox has so much that they need to do in that space to really change everyone's opinions who aren't the hardcore.
Absolutely. I mean, I even went on Amazon last week and looked up the Diablo 4 beta, the game, and okay, whatever, looked it up for Xbox. And then a few days later, Amazon sends me an email saying you might like this, and it's the Diablo 4 PlayStation version. I'm like, I didn't even look up the PlayStation version. I looked up the Xbox version. It's like they've got it dialed in that they'll always push PlayStation stuff. And that's just the way it's all worked over the years. PlayStation know how to market their stuff, and they push their products through all these different avenues. Xbox have to do the same thing. It's like that meme. I think there's a meme that goes around. It has different consoles. It had 3DO. It had Sega. Had a Nintendo, and might have had an Atari or something. And it said along the lines of Mum bought me, Mum thinks all of these are a Nintendo or something. And that's kind of the same thing with PlayStation. Everyone thinks everything's a PlayStation. I could walk down the street right now and talk to someone. That'd be a bit weird, but and just say, hey, do it. Do it. And I guarantee you, they won't know what an Xbox is. They'll know what a PlayStation is, though, because it's just been drummed into everyone. It's a culture thing. And Xbox need to realize that it's a culture. They need to become a culture. They need to be the brand that people just look at. Gaming is Xbox. That's what they need to do.
Well, it's a tough thing to communicate
Absolutely.
when for many years Xbox, the word Xbox meant that little black console with the green button on it or the white button on it with the X, right?
Or the VCR.
And Jen was giving me a good time, give me a hard time about the Starfield is exclusive, and I absolutely do that 100% on purpose, because it upsets them, because they don't like Starfield being exclusive, because they don't think that Xbox should have exclusives. But Xbox is trying to communicate, and I work in communication and outreach in my real job, okay? And I understand communications, and they're trying to communicate the message that Xbox is everywhere, that you're nearly everywhere. And to be bold would just say, Starfield everywhere, except for PlayStation. Like, that would be, if they did that commercial, it would be their biggest viewed commercial on YouTube. It would easily be the biggest thing ever. And that shade. But they won't do that because they're all inclusive. But people need to understand that the Xbox no longer means that little the little whatever you call it, that little cuboid or square plastic console. It is, and that's why I made that graphic that I share on Twitter often, the white background with all of the devices that are connected to the ecosystem, because that's how Xbox looks at the platform. We're on a phone, tablet, Kindle Fire, we're on a laptop, we're on a gaming desktop PC, we're on Steam, we're on your smart TV, and then we're on consoles, and we're on cloud. Like, it's a tough thing. And PlayStation's message is, buy the PlayStation 5. The next big game is bundled. Here it is.
But Cole,
and it's such an easy message.
If they're showing this, and your graphic is perfect for that example, right? It's showing that it's going to be on every device. Well, tell them that Xbox is everywhere. I mean, why don't you just incorporate that into your marketing? It's a no-brainer to me. We want to be everywhere, so we're going to be everywhere. And they would be everywhere, Ashtray, if Jim Ryan would allow Game Pass to be on PlayStation, and it would just be a complete third-party platform where their games are made by Xbox Game Studios and partners, and they come available on anywhere you want a game. Which I wouldn't like them to do that. I mean, just keep people
with an Xbox Live account on the devices that they support. But it sounds very much like Phil's like, we bought Bethesda and we want to be where Game Pass exists. And that's a bulletproof statement that holds him true and correct in his statement, as long as somebody like PlayStation says, you know what, fine, Game Pass will be on PlayStation. And then they'll just rake in the money. Everybody will rake in the money.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think they need PlayStation, honestly. I mean, what, 100 and maybe 130 million people? They're going for 3 billion.
That's where the mobile market
So
comes in.
well, that's exactly
Yes.
right. So they don't really need PlayStation in the grand scheme of things.
Don't let people tell you that PlayStation makes up 3/4 of the gaming market. They're talking out of their aft cabin when they say that. And I know mobile is like in the grand scheme of the worldwide gaming revenue, where mobile is included, PlayStation makes up some 20% of the whole pie graph. And I've shown that graphic as well. But it's like that. But that's like a bunch of mobile games or phone games that don't ever come to console. But if you're going to look at the global market, like, I don't think PlayStation makes up half or the majority of it on console, and because PC where every game, every big Ubisoft game or every Activision game is on PC, like they far outweigh the amount of people that are on a PS5 or even a PS4 that's almost done.
Yeah. I feel I said
it's
it
that dang
on
perception, darn it. It's that perception that drives me crazy.
I felt I said it on our last podcast that there's a finite amount of console sales between Xbox and PlayStation, not Nintendo, and I think that's around 200k. Sorry, 200 million, and I don't think they will reach above that. I don't think PlayStation will ever.
You start
sell
eating
more
into
than
each other's
200
sales
million.
at that point. It's
Yeah, they start eating.
returns.
Yes, exactly that. Yeah. So, and I think the PC market, I think, is bigger than PlayStation. As it stands at the moment, Nintendo's bigger than PlayStation, isn't it? Didn't it just? Yeah, the Switch just outsold the PlayStation 4. So, and now Xbox is starting to expand into. But
they don't count the Nintendo, right? Because
no, they don't. No,
it's not high end.
The biggest market's PlayStation. You must sell to that, or you're losing profit. You shouldn't have exclusives because you're losing money. But that door swings both ways, doesn't it? But yeah, it's.
I mean, Xbox has so much to do in localization space as well to really put a foothold in a lot of markets that they weren't in before, and so that localization piece, the marketing piece, everything. Once you've got that foothold, it will improve over time, but it's just perception is a massive thing, and PlayStation has had that mindshare for so long, and they've been in those markets for so long that trying to convince people to switch is the hardest thing, and they really need to push the fact that you do not need to buy the box to enjoy the ecosystem. Yeah, they're just not pushing that enough. Yeah, Game Pass. If you've got a PC,
I'm gonna move on
Game
now.
Ah,
We've got another.
see ya.
Yeah, no, we've got another fire topic. So moving on, this sort of extends on, doesn't it? PlayStation VR 2 success or a lack of. So I've actually got the Metro. I guess you guys know who Metro is. It's an English tabloid. Yeah, it was an English tabloid paper that is very pro Sony. So that's why I thought it'd be sort of ironic that I use their headline. PlayStation VR 2 sales are so low, and analyst advises price cut to avoid disaster. Yes, so the sales are at 270,000.
Since what? It launched in Feb, yeah?
Yeah, since it launched. So, yeah. When exactly did it release in Feb?
I think it was the 23rd or
Has it
something.
been a month, or is it 6 weeks, or?
It's been a month.
The end of
It's been
Feb
about a
released,
month.
yeah.
I think it was like the 23rd of February or something along those lines.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, so I mean, this information's come from IDC analysis Francisco Germano. I'm not going to get his name right. I suspect a price cut on the PSVR 2 will be needed to avoid complete disaster of their new product. Did the PSV V1 go under a price cut? I think that went under one as well, didn't it? Did it not? Didn't that release a price and that got cut? I know the what is it? The Quest or the Oculus dropped in price, didn't it? And then went up again, didn't it? one of the PC VRs went up and sort of kept bouncing up and down in price, didn't it? I can't remember if the PlayStation VR 1 dropped in price though from its original because it bombed. But what's your opinions on this though? 270,000 sales in its first month. Good or bad?
Red.
Well, I mean, they released something that costs, what is it? It's over 500 quid in the UK.
It costs more
during
than the
cost of living
PlayStation 5.
prices.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not exactly great timing, you know, with everyone's energy bills about to go up again. So it is a very niche market, isn't it, VR in the first place?
Yep.
Not just Sony or, you know, all the brands that bring out accessories. So we have a Quest 2, I think it is here. And I can't play the thing for more than 20 minutes without it being too uncomfortable. I just don't think the technology's there for it to sell in massive units. Until I can fit a USB port into my brain that will let me bang Soulless in Dragon Age, then I'm not interested in VR. That's where I stand on it.
Love
so
it.
I'm not surprised it's bombed.
I think it's just interesting. Like PSVR, the first one, sold just more than 5 million units, and it was interesting seeing people trying to compare the Kinect to the PSVR. They're completely different systems. One was very successful when it first launched, and then we had people who, like in last gen, forcibly had to buy one if they bought a Xbox day one when it first launched in 2013. It's kind of sad. Like, I think the actual system, the PlayStation VR 2, is a really good VR system. It's just because it's a PlayStation exclusive, you have to run it through your PlayStation. You have to buy a PlayStation and then this on top of that. It's just the cost to entry is a massive barrier for a lot of gamers. There isn't a lot of software, and you made a great point. You can only really play a game for so long in VR before you need to take your headset off and kind of, like, it's very different in comparison to sitting down for 8 hours and playing like a video game on your PC or your console or on your phone or anything like that. There's just not a big market. It is very niche. That's why we didn't see HoloLens kind of go any further into the market. That's why Microsoft kind of initially, when the Xbox One X was announced, talked about during the teaser trailer that this was something where they'll be looking at VR, and they didn't do anything with VR. I think if they were going to push into that market, they're going to use a third-party headset that would be compatible with their console, rather than put the money into engineering their own unit, their own headset. It's just the technology is not where it's at. It's the cost to entry is too far. We're looking at the, I guess, global economy kind of in the shitter at the moment, and so people don't really have the finances to put money into that, so it's launched at a really bad time, and I think that's taken a massive hit for their sales, and definitely what you can see is it's below projection, and the people who are purchasing it are the hardcore, the people who like VR, and as a result, you know, you're just seeing what's going to unfold here. I think by the end of the year we'll see maybe 1 million units, maybe, but I just don't see it doing well. We're already like, what, April? Maybe not the end of the year, but like I'm not surprised by this at all. Yeah.
I think until we're at like Ready Player One levels of technological advancement with VR, it's just not going to take off.
Till I can play like Pokemon in VR. Nah.
Until it gets full support, which I think was Phil's point, until it gets fully supported by developers and stuff, because, you know, I'd done a video on this and loads of PlayStation fans come at me and say, no, he's fully supported, they do fully back it. They don't, because we're not seeing their first party AAA studios supporting it. I mean, we've had that Horizon, we had Guerrilla Games do the Horizon Forbidden West sort of spin-off, which
they're not getting enough revenue sale from the software sales of these games. Yeah.
No, they're not to put their big budget developers to support it. So until that happens, I don't think it's worth the effort, really. That's why you're only going to get these little niche games, these little sort of filler titles, and the majority of the games, the titles on it are filler titles. That's why it's a ridiculous price. Was it 500-600? It's a ridiculous price.
It's over 1,000 in New Zealand.
Yes. And
Yeah, it's like
you're playing
900 here.
kayaking. There's a kayaking game, and
Yes.
a lot of it is they blocked the backwards compatibility from it because they want to make more money. Yet a lot of the games on it are just sort of remastered versions of the PSVR 1 games. You notice that?
I mean,
a lot of
they
old
did some
games.
technological advances where, being backward compatible would just kind of hold it back. But I think one of the main problems with VR is I don't want to play those games.
No, yeah.
I don't want to play those type of games. That's a major problem. Like, we like games for a reason. The games that we play. I don't want to paint on some rocks. I don't want to do a climbing simulator. I don't want to do that stuff. And we all messed around with that with the Kinect, and we've all played VR and tried it out. I like my type of games, and I think the easy solution is make the PSVR 2, but make it compatible with most of your games. So if I'm playing, even if you're playing God of War Ragnarok, you have the headset on, you have the earphones on. Hear me out, guys. You've got the controller, the DualSense 5 in your hand, and all the VR does is gives you stereoscopic 3D, which would be really cool on your favorite games. And then you can set a setting in the game so that you no longer use the left stick to move the camera. Your head moves the camera. You can walk forward with your thumbstick and play the game with all the buttons, but you move your head to look around in the world, even in third person, like you do with your camera. First person shooters, you could load up the latest Call of Duty. You could load up a really old Call of Duty. And now the camera is attached to your neck and you can move around. So then you're no longer playing these niche job simulators or these little like quirky, gimmicky games, or some of them aren't as quirky. But let me load up, because GT7 does it, right?
Yeah.
Let me load up any game like that. But it's not that simple, and that's not integrated that way. And so you have this setup to play certain types of games that you normally wouldn't play, but you're only doing it because you're smack dab in the middle of this digital world that with reduced graphics. I don't like that. And maybe PSVR 2 can't run a game like God of War Ragnarok while you're in place. You have to play it in theater mode. And it's not the same. You're just basically giving yourself a TV.
Yeah, it's a party piece, isn't it? You get it out, show your friends. You all go and look at the shark in the tank, and then it goes back in the box. That's my experience with VR so far.
Colt, I agree exactly. Like, I should be able to buy an Assassin's Creed game. I should be able to play it if I want traditionally on the couch, just through the TV, or put the headset on, it goes to first person view or something, and I get a different, more
Third
immersive
person
experience. Well, even if it went to a first person view, that would be kind of cool. Because games can do that too, right? They can change the camera angle, so you could still set it to first person if you really wanted to. But it needs to be able to work with the standard game. So if you choose that you want to play it immersive with a headset on, then you can choose that option, or you can just play it regularly. Not two different versions of the game or anything. It'd have to work together. But I don't think we're going to see it. And again, it's just the cost factor that everyone's already mentioned, already talked about, the rising costs of everything. I'm not going to go through it all again. You've all said the same stuff, but that it's a peripheral that costs a lot of money, and most people don't like to buy extra peripherals, especially at that cost. Simple as that. It's just too expensive.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, look at the Sega CD and all that extra peripherals that get added on there, and that didn't really do too well. Some people did it, but a lot didn't, and it's just gaming is expensive enough as it is to add in this thing that you really don't need, and at this point, it's only got a handful of games. It's just there's no real value there.
When you buy a console, you kind of buy it going, everything I need to play my video games is included in the box, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of what people do. They'll buy their console and that's it. And then they'll buy their software and that's it. They don't want to go out and buy all this extra stuff because, that's not what they signed up for when they were doing console gaming, unless you really, really, really want to go after a particular type of experience. Majority of people are not going to do it. And it's you're right, technology nowhere near at a point where this is going to have mass appeal to gamers. And even if this was something that like Xbox did have VR available to them, a lot of us would be like, oh yeah, it's a nice feature, but I'm not going to be spending the money on it. No, I'm happy to game the way I already do. There's only
Yeah.
a subset of gamers, and it's who are willing to do that, and you're not going to sell a lot of product with those gamers.
No, and you mentioned HoloLens earlier. That's different. That's augment reality. So you're mixing real world with graphics sort of in front of you. That's too expensive as well, anyway.
Yep.
You know, you're looking at $3,500. I don't know if that's Australian or US, but still $3,500 for a headset. No one's going to pay that. It needs to be, you know, $400 or something at the most. And that's not going to happen. Not for a very long time.
If VR hit Xbox, we'd like to see games like Grounded in VR. I think that'd be great.
I'd love Grounded in VR.
Or Sea of Thieves in VR. That'd be amazing. Stuff like that.
I get motion sick on a boat. I don't think I would be
I would
okay
barf.
with VR on Sea of
imagine
Thieves.
That's what I mean.
I would barf so bad when in Sea of Thieves. Yeah.
But imagine the megalodon coming at you in the ocean, and you just see that giant
You're in the
shark
water.
coming at you in VR. I'd probably be like, I'm never playing a game again. When did Sea of Thieves become a horror?
You want to see that for those kind of first party supports, those kind of sort of big budget games, those kind of games in VR, or even State of Decay in VR would be great. But but stuff like Shower with Your Dad and things in VR on PlayStation, you just don't want to play that, do you?
That's on PC, you idiot.
Don't drop the soap.
Wow.
That was Colt's #1 game of 2019, wasn't it?
Drop the soap or Grounded.
No, shower with your dad too.
Shower with your dad. Yeah, and Genital Jousting. Those two were bangers for sure. Yeah.
VR.
Yeah, I went through a PC gaming thing like in 2015, and I was really getting into it. One of my buddies bought me Genital Jousting, and another one bought me Shower with Your Dad, and they're sitting there in my Steam library as gifts to be redeemed. They will forever be emblazoned there.
You can't send them on to someone else.
I think you can. Yeah,
send
I
them,
just
send
left
them
him
to
there.
dealer. Send them to dealer.
Yeah, I should. Dealer would love that. He's like, I already got the platinum. Yeah.
Yeah, I want
I
to.
thought you were asking for yourself, Ashtray.
No, not at all. I don't game on PC. But then anyway, I reckon we should probably move to our next topic if everyone's cool with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you reckon, Ali?
Yeah. No.
Do it.
I want to say this one.
No.
Do it.
It says no.
This has been a very
No, possible.
PlayStation heavy show,
Yeah,
actually.
it has. Yeah.
Well, let's just move on to some positive PlayStation news. So, The Last of Us.
Oh my god!
And here we go. The Last of Us PC port has us in tears over its amazing glitches. See, that's good news. See, the PC port's got loads of glitches, and they're amazing. You know, why wouldn't we celebrate glitches? Just because they don't do it for any other game or on any other system, only PlayStation. You know, why wouldn't we celebrate these things? So the PC port to of Last of Us, the fourth version of the Last of Us game, is suffering lots and lots of problems, but that's okay. It's all in jest and all fun and stuff. So, firstly, have you guys seen any of the glitches on this?
No, I've only seen screenshots. And why does Ali look like she was in There's Something About Mary?
Yeah.
Which scene?
Which scene? Yeah.
The hair gel scene.
Trey. I don't get it.
Look at the picture.
All of them sweating. I don't know if that's the sweating one, but her eyebrows are massive. But one of them's all of them sweating. Have you seen that one where everyone's sweating?
Joel looks like
And,
that guy out of oh my god, what's that Puppet America movie? I can't think of what it's called.
Oh yeah. He looks like Team America.
Team America,
Yeah.
where the guy like puts the like towel on his head and like
Fuck yeah!
he looks a bit like that.
But it's almost as if some of these glitches actually been written in because they're so bad that. But my question is, why didn't Nixis do this PC port? Because Sony specifically bought that studio to do PC ports. So why didn't they do the PC port firstly? And secondly, how is this so bad? How did this not go through some sort of quality control? Jen, over to you.
I was going to ask, were Bethesda involved in this?
Oh,
Bugfesta.
messy.
I told you. This is what PlayStation was saying. That we're going to launch. Microsoft is going to launch their games buggy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now look at it.
This is
A couple of
PlayStation
guys on
quality.
the
If it was launched on
couple of guys on
Xbox, we know this to be game breaking, wouldn't it? Breaking bugs would be the headline, but
Yep.
it's not. So. Go on, sorry, Jen. You was talking. Sorry.
fine. A couple of guys on the Windows Central team have got the game. We asked for a review code, or we were contacted about getting one, but then we never actually received one before launch date, and now we know why.
Oh, really?
But the guys
wow.
that are, so the guys that are testing it out now have been trying to play it on their Steam Decks, as far as I know. And so we've been having a few like funny screenshots going back and forth in the chat of how it's going. One of them was saying it took like hours to build the shaders. I don't even know what that means. This is why I play console, because you just open the game and it works.
The shader compiler.
It's building the geometry, the polygons, and the shape and the structure of the characters and world. Yeah, that's what the shaders are.
I'm exhausted just reading about what that means. Not for me. But yeah, I just don't know why it is so bad. Like you said, what testing was done on this before it was released?
None. It was great. It was none. It was really fast. QA/QC was really fast.
The worst thing is, it's a full price game. It's like $70, isn't it, for a remake?
Yeah, they did a file save as PC.exe, and then there you go.
The old .exe.
Oh, done.
Like PlayStation's QA/QC is impeccable. Like it's very rare that their games have any massive issues that are worth writing home about, and they were just completely absent on this one. Naughty Dog did most of the work with Iron Galaxy and another porting studio that helped, but most of the brunt of the work, I was told, was done by Naughty Dog, and maybe they just
naughty.
They should know. I mean, they've done this before. They've done PC ports. They've dealt with their games being ported to PC. I don't know what happened. There's something that they didn't account for. Maybe it's those shaders, Jen. Maybe it's those.
It was just
those damn shaders.
It was interesting. Sorry, Jen, go.
I was just wondering what the actual creators must think watching all this unfold on social media after the show's just ended. All this goodwill, and it's the best story ever told in gaming, and then this is what we're left with on PC. All these silly screenshots, huge eyebrows. This is the legacy it will leave. It's quite funny to watch, I think.
It is. I mean, just listening to some of the stories of people who like were playing it for like maybe 45 minutes and it crashed, and then they kept crashing every few minutes after they got the game launched. Yeah, the shader compiling taking like over 30 minutes to do before they could even jump into the game. It's just appalling that this game launched in the state it launched in, and you're at the QA for this. How it even passed QA to launch is surprising. I'm more surprised by the people who are blaming PC gamers for this. And the fact that if you wanted to play it well, you should have got a PlayStation. Like, no. Developers should be able to optimize their game and launch it in a state where it isn't doing this. And so for targeting PC gamers, grow up, go after the developers. You should be complaining to the people who launched the game in this state. You should be complaining because you guys have shouted to the ends of the earth how amazing this title is, and now the reception of this title is bad reviews. What they've done to your beloved IP is atrocious. Just a fact.
Damn. I think we should end this podcast there.
And I don't know. I don't really get it because these games were made on PCs to begin with. So I really wouldn't have thought that they couldn't just use the original sort of source code or whatever and pretty much just port it from that. I don't know. I'm not a developer, obviously, so it's obviously more involved than what it seems to be like. But how to get it this wrong is crazy, absolutely crazy.
Yeah, the game's a 10-year-old game. Then it's had a remaster, then a remake. How can you then be this wrong? How can it be this wrong? How can it not be even remotely close to the remake at the least?
I don't know. That's why it's weird, isn't it?
It's worse than the 2013 version. How can that be? That's
Or the
what I mean.
version
It's
that
almost
ported to the PS4. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost if, like, as I said, it's almost if Sony paid for it to just be crap, or I don't know. It's just,
don't.
it's weird.
They've had other PC ports which have been fine, and I think the best thing about this being on PC and it launching on Steam, and as Tryhard has mentioned, is Steam's refund policy. If this was on PlayStation, good luck getting your money back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
One of the most overrated games of all time.
Toxic.
I didn't finish the
It
first
is.
one, but I played
played
all
it.
the way through the second.
Just get it on PC, Colt. You'll love it.
Oh, I've got a PS5, and I had it on PS3, and I played the first segment, and I just wasn't enjoying it. It also ruined me. That opening scene was just gut wrenching, and I'm like, that's not an enjoyable experience as a gaming fan. And then I played the remaster on PS4 and got like, I don't know, 3 chapters in. I'm like, I'm just not enjoying this. And when The Last of Us 1 came out, I was so tired of stealth-based third-person games, you know, and stealth-based games in general. Like, even with Dishonored, I went through it and just kind of chored my way through it. It just came out at a bad time for me. But I played all the way through The Last of Us 2, and the entire time I'm like, this game makes me feel terrible. I feel awful. It is just,
You didn't want to
it's
go
just
play
so
golf
dark.
afterwards?
I would actually, I don't know, anybody can say I'm a wimp because I dislocated my shoulder playing football. So, you know, I'm total wimp, but I would sit and play The Last of Us and play 2 and play through a long segment. And then I would go into my family and they'd be in the kitchen smiling. And I'd be like, you guys are so great. I was just in there just being completely depressed playing that Last of Us 2. That game there's no joy in that game other than murdering hundreds of people in a village. Like I'm sorry. When people talk about that, and I haven't watched the show, I hear the show is fantastic. People who haven't even played the game said the show is fantastic. I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch that show. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a loser.
The show is fantastic. I do love it, but I do feel the same as you when it comes to things like movies and TV as well. You know, I use, you know, those mechanisms to escape from the horrors of life, and if something's going to make me feel sad, I don't want to spend my time sitting there playing or watching it.
Not for that many hours.
I
At least a
completely
show.
see where you're coming from. Yeah.
Show's short and sharp, and sitting there for that long. But at least, I mean, I do like the art style they've gone with the PC port. It looks quite good, doesn't it? Yeah.
This is actually why I won't play God of War, because you're playing with a child. I don't like games where you've got a child to protect. I also won't play A Plague's Tale for that reason. It just gets to me.
Yeah.
I don't usually like promoting other podcasts on this channel, but D from RDX, a new up and coming podcast channel. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. He said he's played The Last of Us on PC, and he said it was crashing every 15 minutes on him.
Yep.
Did you?
Yeah. They'll fix it.
They will. They've already done one.
They'll
patch,
fix it.
So far.
Oh, I'm sure they will fix it. Yeah, they've definitely fixed a lot of the bugs, but I don't get how it's such groundbreaking. And this is groundbreaking to me. This is groundbreaking.
But when is enough is enough? Like, to charge $70 for that game and then go, oh, they'll just patch it later. Like, no. I'm glad Starfield's been delayed and twice now, because I do not want a repeat of Halo. I do not want a repeat of Cyberpunk. I'm sick of games launching and then people being day one adopters of that and then getting screwed over and basically feeling like they're beta testing a game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's awful. And so many of us are now like, I'm not going to buy a game day one because it's not worth it. Like, I'll just wait a month later and they'll have patched all the issues. We shouldn't be having to put up with that anymore. It's our money. And we should be, telling the developers and the publishers that this isn't good enough by just not buying it at all at this point until they fix those issues.
I do wonder if they did know that it was this broken, but they did want to push it out a week after the show ended, just to make the most of those sales of people finishing the show.
Yeah, that's what it smells like.
Game. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I reckon it wasn't ready and they've pushed it out thinking it wasn't as bad as what it was.
Dark CMF saying my only concern for the show is when they get to The Last of Us Part 2. Yes!
They're going to draw all that out, I believe. But yeah.
No spoilers for me, please.
You wouldn't buy a jug of milk, a bottle of milk with a hole in it, would you?
Nope.
So why would you buy a game that's broken? So they shouldn't be selling a defective product. I know it happens in a lot, but this is pretty broken. And Cyberpunk got the backlash for it, and as they should. They
Steam
should
reviews.
get that. Yeah, well, it's only got a 1 point. This is The Last of Us remastered. It's only got like a 1.5 on Metacritic, which I mean,
User
that's just
rating?
showing that user rating. That's just showing that the people that have bought it are upset, and I don't think it's been review bombed as such. But
What was the
people are
big
actually
rush
upset
on
with
this
it.
though? Like, I don't remember it having a release date on PC. I don't remember like the big marketing push. Like, today's the big day.
It was the show.
Like the show's not even over,
show.
or I guess it is over. The first season is over.
1. Yeah.
Yeah, shoot.
But-
I guess that's why.
But yeah, as you said, what big rush? The game's been out 10 years. So you've had 10 years to develop a PC version. There's been no rush at all, was there? It was as if like last week they thought, let's make a PC version, quick, go.
Wait, the remake launched last year on the PlayStation 5, right? For Last of Us Part 1. They've had a year to know that they're going to be porting it to the PC.
Yeah.
Porting
must have
it
known before that.
because it's on x86 architecture, right? The porting shouldn't be too difficult. I know they have to optimize it in the sense of allowing it to play on many different specs rigs, but maybe it's the engine. Maybe the engine isn't as scalable as they want it to be, and that's what they were having issues with. Who knows? UE5 for the win.
So before we move on to the next topic, I just want to point out that I would buy a bottle of milk with a hole in it, because how else would you drink it?
Oh,
see
We're
what
talking
I
about a
did?
gosh.
lid, like,
Hey, Elite, can you just do me a favor and slap yourself? That'd be nice.
yeah.
I'm trying to figure out which joke was better, the italics or the hole in the milk. So we'll come back. We'll circle around to that. Next topic, please, on this Gamers Initiative with the green branding, which means we're going to talk about Xbox.
Let's get to, at Dauntless's request, let's get on to an Xbox topic. And it's a fantastic topic. Brought to you by Purebox. Yes, I agree to cookies. Okay, Microsoft confirms everything's got cookies now. Everything demands I have to have their cookies. Fuck's sake. Microsoft confirms $1 Xbox Game Pass trial offer has been stopped. And so weirdly, some media are promoting this as some sort of price hike for Game Pass because they've dropped the deal. I suppose you guys have seen that.
Cancelling. Haven't you heard? Like, all of us are cancelling as a result.
Yeah, I thought it was just £1 all the time.
Yeah.
So views on this. So do we really have much of a view on this? I mean, it's inevitable it's going to end.
It's
And I
virtual
think-
signaling, in my opinion.
Do we all agree that we wanted it to end? I mean, I was all for it ending. I think it should have ended probably a year ago.
No, I was
Been around
using
for
it.
6 years.
I've been abusing this deal for years. I feel like I've been caught out. I feel like I've caused this.
Jen, it's
It's
your
like those
fault.
adverts.
Did you not see the bottom, your name at the bottom in the like little...
Jen is so tight.
Yeah, we're cancelling
Oh,
Jen.
I don't know if you guys had those adverts in your country where it's like, you wouldn't steal a car, so why
Yeah.
would you steal a movie? It's just like that. It's like, I've been using this to get round getting Game Pass for cheaper. 'Cause you buy gold, you let your Game Pass expire, and then you use the pound to convert your gold into Ultimate. And I think that's why they've got rid of it. They know that people have been using this loophole for years, and it's costing them money. So fair play. I think they've done well for getting rid of it.
It was a great
We
marketing
shouldn't be
beat.
abusing it. I am a bad person. I should go to confession.
Look, they could probably bring it back at any time they want if they want to push a promotion.
Yeah.
Next year or the year after or whatever. There's no reason why they can't just flick the switch and make it happen again.
They want to
is it-
stop Sony fans buying it to get Starfield for a month and playing it.
Yeah.
That's what
On
it's
their
all about.
high-end PCs.
For
Yeah.
$1. Yeah.
Nah, they're going to be playing it on their YouTube app. It'll be no big deal.
Did you see that? They've all got
I saw
YouTube
that
out there.
Mr. Colt Eastwood created meme.
Yep.
Yeah, the play button and everything up there with the timeline at the bottom of the
Yep.
screen.
Yeah, and I'm like, don't worry, PlayStation fans. I'll record my gameplay at the highest quality possible so you can enjoy the game like you're really there. They'll hold their DualSense 5 and they'll just like, oh, it'd be amazing to play a game that lasts longer than 25 hours. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I don't mean. Hey, did you guys hear the news that broke while the show's going that Ark Survival 2 got pushed not from June 2023 but till the end of 2024?
I'm not.
And they've yet to
surprised.
show a single pixel of that game.
This
Really?
is the one with oh my god, Vin Diesel, right?
You don't mess with family.
Oh, right.
It's been pushed
Oh,
out
yeah,
a
I
whole
did.
year and a half.
Yeah. They're, they were in the 12-month pocket, which, like, I think half of Xbox's E3 was that 12-month pocket that didn't make it, and so they haven't said a word, because their promise to Xbox and the fans was to come out by June 2023, and now they're saying end of 2024. So, yeah, a year and a half extra.
I'm with Fizz on this. I put probably about 100 days into Ark, the first game. It's quite. But then I've not seen any gameplay of it since the original.
They haven't
trailer.
shown a single pixel
No.
outside of a pre-rendered
No,
cinematic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I didn't really expect it this year whatsoever. So it's not really a big shocker, other than the 12-month thing they did. So
What's on UE5, right?
Correct.
Everything.
it is. Yes, it is.
I mean, after you saw what happened with the original game when it was ported from PC onto consoles, and then it got put on Game Pass at one point, I'm of the point, and I'm always going to be of this opinion: delay the game.
Yeah, so in the blog post, they say, why the delay? Our goal is to make Ark 2 the best game that we can provide, a truly exceptional and rewarding experience for players. Unreal Engine 5 is an incredibly new technology to us and all the developers, and we aim to use the cutting-edge technology to its fullest potential while creating a game with newer, never achieved scope, a studio wildcard. As we learn...
Continue.
I was just going to say, they're basically saying that they're learning how to use the engine to its capabilities, and they need more time, and they don't have the
I bet you they saw the Hellblade stuff with the metahuman. They're like, we need that. Delay the game. Get Vin
Maybe.
Diesel back in here.
maybe
The original
you
game
never know.
launched on preview program. I think it was one of the first games to launch on the preview sort of setup when it first came out for Xbox. And it was really buggy and it was really bad. So they need to polish it, I think, if they're going to go more AAA than what it was. You can't go wrong, really, can you, with delaying games? So
No, and look, there's so many games coming out this year and next year that it's probably going to end up in a better time slot or date slot anyway. And look, we're going to keep seeing games delayed, and I'm all for it.
you know what has gone silent? Exo Mecha. What happened to that game? Colt, tell us. Or Jen.
No,
Where
to
is
which
Exo
one?
Mecha?
No,
Exo Mecha.
Exo Mecha.
You know,
Exo
the
Mecha. do you remember that?
Oh,
Transformers
yeah, I heard they
metallic-
wanted. Yeah. Does Jen know? I just heard they've asked for way more time. They were supposed to be out like in 2020.
Yeah.
They're way DOA.
That
Or
just
not
dropped
DOA,
right.
but MIA. MIA.
Yeah. They really showed that in 2020 and then it just vanished, didn't it? Just gone. Which is a shame, because that looked really good, really promising, that game. It looked sort of combination.
It looked okay. I mean, it's... Yeah. They're a newer studio, and they were trying to make something really great, and there's probably a lot of things that have to come together to make a great free-to-play first-person competitive shooter. The melee combat looked really goofy, so they have a lot to live up to, but yeah, interesting.
Exactly. There's so much competition out there. The mechanics, the shooting mechanics, the melee have to be spot on. Otherwise, it'll just disappear real quick, fade away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well.
Delayed indefinitely is what we've heard last. And that was exactly a year ago. Yeah. So.
But going back to the topic, the £1 deal, none of us really care, do we? That it's been dropped.
I moved
Just
over initially.
to confirm. Yeah, just to confirm that.
I
Yeah.
took up the deal initially and converted everything over from Gold at the time to Game Pass when this came out, and I have since just paid and use my Microsoft points to get me free months every so often for Game Pass. But yeah, it was marketing. Like, for those who actually thought this was going to stay, and for those who were kind of like virtual signaling and kind of acting like the sky is falling because now suddenly Game Pass has increased in price, and then they're using the family plan price to go, this is how much they've increased it by. Like, seriously, grow up. If you were real gamers, you would know this stuff. Like, the people who apparently are plugged in to what's going on, they really aren't. They don't know anything.
We've had it for long enough. When it first came out, it was an introductory offer.
Yeah.
And they've just let it run for years now. And the library is just so much bigger now than it ever was that I can see why they've taken it down. It just doesn't make sense for them to keep it up. It's wasting money for them.
Smart to do it.
And yeah, everything goes up in price. Netflix goes up in price each year. You know, it just happens. It's not really a story, is it? As much as Twitter wants to make it into one.
No, but they all want to play the world's smallest violin as a result.
Bit harsh. Right. So I think are we done on our topics? Should we call it a day?
Yeah. I've got to go get more lozenges and stuff because I've just run out at my desk.
Oh.
Okay. Thank you. You're not motorboarding and whatever it is you usually do. What do you do?
Water blasting.
Water blast. That's it. Yeah.
Water blasting, which is called power washing. Elite, go play with your pillow friends, like I always remind you to.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I don't understand the reference, but I'm just going to stand over here for a little bit.
It's as bad as you think the reference is, Colt. It is as bad as you think it is.
Is this a Big Mouth reference?
This is.
It's yeah, kind of, because him and his OnlyFans account. Yeah. No, it's more of a you know those big
Red's
pillows
got a
that have
pillow,
like
I think.
Liara on them from Mass Effect and that. That's how it came out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Red's got one of me, a life-size pillow of me that she.
Yeah, and I set it on fire a lot.
She stabs it every day.
Just walk in the room and
I'll
stab
send her a
it.
new one.
Got a machete. All right.
Sick.
Well, thank
Right.
you.
Okay.
Again.
Oh, go on.
You
Then
go,
keep
Lee.
talking, Red. It's not as if we don't hear your voice enough.
Go, Lee.
Go for it. No, seriously, go for it.
I was just going to say thank you all for watching. This is episode 94 of Gamers Initiative podcast. We're getting so close to 100 episodes. I just want to say a big shout out to our guests this week, Colt Eastwood and Jen from Windows Central. It's been awesome having you on, hearing what you guys have to say. And sorry about all your technical problems, Jen. It did sound like it improved a little bit towards the end of the show, so amazing. But yeah, let's remind everyone where people can find you. We'll start off with Colt Eastwood. Where can people find you as we start heading out?
Thank you. I've had a lot of fun today. Really good show. I like the panel a lot. You guys are great. It's not easy running a podcast. I'm nervous every week when I do my show, and you guys do a really good job. Take it from me. I've been on enough shows where I feel like a seasoned veteran who doesn't know what he's doing, but you guys are really great. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, do good job, guys. You can find me on Twitter and YouTube at Colt Eastwood. I should be back to making content this next week, but my arm hurts sometimes, darn it. But yeah, I'll be back to normal. But I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been a fun time.
Thanks for coming, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
no, thanks for coming, man. Yeah, it's fantastic having you on. Just a quick question: do you get bed baths, Cole?
What?
Do I get bed bugs or?
Yeah, bed baths in the hospital at the moment, or
Do they bath you at the hospital?
yeah.
Don't answer that,
No,
Colt.
yeah,
Ignore him. We all do.
What the
Hashtag
hell?
delete
This is
elite
some
in
kind
the
of
chat.
twisted fetish. Don't answer. Don't answer.
That just felt like we're a runner running for the 100-meter sprint right near the finish line and fell over. Like you just ruined the whole thing, man.
That's probably one of those questions I should have waited for. When
They
we
did
signed
cut
up.
off my favorite hoodie. I couldn't. There was no way I was going to be able to get my shirts off, and so they got out these like triage scissors and cut off my favorite gray hoodie that I liked wearing, and now that's in the garbage. But other than that, no.
Kind of like where Elite should be. Hashtag delete Elite in the chat, guys. You know, just to end the show. End the show.
Standing right here.
Yeah, no one cares. Jen, where can people find you, and can you tell us what you're working on next?
And what you're wearing.
Oh,
Elite.
Excuse me. No one's going to come back to this show the way you're going, Elite. Oh dear. So you can find me on Twitter at Gembox360. There is a link to my articles on my bio if you want some bedtime reading. Currently, I'm going on holiday next week actually, so I'm not
Where you
working
going?
on much. I'm
Don't
not
answer
going yet.
that.
Tell him.
Go, Jen. Ignore him.
Dawn wants to know.
I
Please
am.
the fifth.
I'm working on a longer piece, which is just all about the Diablo lore. So this will be like them from the beginning of creation and the story throughout all the games, just for people to catch up on before they play the new one. As I've had a few questions about it, so that's my longer term project at the moment.
Nice.
And I apologise for all the issues at the start. I've just had new internet installed, and it's been an absolute nightmare. So hopefully you could hear me all right through the second half of the show.
Yeah, these things happen. It even happens to the best of us, so I wouldn't worry about it too much at all.
And the worst of us, yeah.
Before we go, I do just want to do a big, massive shout out to our two fantastic guests, the glorious, beautiful, gorgeous Colt Eastwood and Jen. So,
You're an idiot.
Just
Getting blocked, you know this, Elite. Like, they're
You're an
blocking you
idiot.
both on Twitter after the show, right?
Ashtray,
right.
where can we find you, mate?
Me, you can find
Tell
me
us,
on
we're really interested.
Twitter. You can find me on Twitter, Xbox, and sometimes on YouTube. AshtreyGaming. It's TREY, not an A, an E, something a bit different. And that's about it. Yeah. Follow me on Twitter if you want to.
Will.
Good.
Do you have any YouTube content?
No. Now, Red, over to you.
Where can you find me? You can find me starting a GoFundMe page to get Elite deleted off the internet. So I'll be sending out the links later today. You can find me on Twitter and you can find me on Xbox. I do have a YouTube channel, but I haven't really been putting content on there because it just takes so much time, and I'm a very busy person. So I don't always have time, and then ADHD kind of just kerfuffles everything in my life sometimes. But also, just before we get to Elite, just shout out to the chat. You guys are amazing. It's been a great show. And just enjoyed the running commentary throughout it. But Elite, where can't people find you? Yeah.
We're getting smarters in the chat now. I think they might be for you, Red.
They're to throw at you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's where that's going. Dalton is just gone. That's a shame. He's my favourite. And we've got still around with us. Oh, right. You can find me. You can find me here. You can find me on Twitter. I don't know my handle. What it is? It's gamers.
It's on the screen, man.
On the screen.
Yeah, it's on the screen, man. There it is. And yeah, that's about it. I've not got a Facebook. You can't find me there. Not on Twitch.
Thank God.
I haven't got
Oh my goodness.
Just get off the internet, Elite.
No, thank you for the chat. Thank you, especially for the panel. Really appreciate you guys taking the time, the effort to join us and that. You've been great to have you on board. It'd be great to have you back if you dare. Yeah, that's it. I think that's it from me.
We'll just line it up for a week where you're not
When
on the
he's
show,
not on,
Elite,
yeah.
and then they'll all come back. Yeah.
I'll just slide in.
Oh my God.
All right.
Thank you all for watching, and we're out of here.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
guys.
See you next week.
Bye,
Thank you.
bye.